global unrest. So what is the future of America? Is it an empire in decline or a nation poised for comeback? Best-selling author Joel Rosenberg tackles those questions in his new book, Implosion: Can America Recover from its Economic and Spiritual Challenges in Time? He joins us now live to tell us more. Joel, thanks for coming in today.
Good to be with you, Shannon. Thank you.
Right out of the gate, I mean, the book starts with such dire warnings, and for people who are not known to, cry wolf, essentially. I mean, these are people that are very well respected in Washington and elsewhere. First, about our economic situation. How dire is it, and do you think we get it?
Well, there's two different areas, and the first time I heard the word implosion used in Washington as sort of what could happen to our country was on Fox. It happened to be Greta Van Susteren talking to a former budget chairman from the Senate from New Hampshire, and just him explaining that we were in so much economic trouble and that the debt was rising so fast, so far beyond any previous historical norms, that if it didn't get turned around rapidly, he said the economy could implode. And I thought, implode, that's an awfully strong word. But I began to hear it come up, either directly, the actual word implode or implosion, or essentially others talking about fiscal train wrecks going off the cliff. Look, there's no question our country is in economic decline. The question is, can we turn it around? But some people are saying, no, it's worse than that. And that's just the economic side. We're at $15 trillion of debt plus and heading towards $65 trillion worth of unfunded liabilities, promises the government has made we can't keep. But that's just the economic side. The other side is the cultural, spiritual, moral side. And look what's in the news just this past week or two. Cannibalism, people in the United States eating other people. I mean, I don't remember ever in my lifetime hearing stories from this country of that happening. The number 1, 2, and 3 books on the New York Times list in novels is essentially called mommy porn. These are novels that are so out of the bounds of normal, literature. This is sort of erotic literature. Has sold 10 million copies in 6 weeks, the last 6 weeks. This is just a few examples of where we are, but what I'm beginning to wonder as I interview people, and my own processing is, this is not normal. I think people are starting to fear that we're not in a normal place in this country and that it's like the ice is cracking under our feet.
How do we turn it around then?
Well, that's a great question, and I walk that through in the book. As dire as I paint the actual facts, and it's all backed up and detailed and footnoted, but economically, spiritually, there's been twice in our country that we've had dramatic changes. We had the first great awakening, spiritual awakening, where millions of people who were sort of drifting spiritually, they had some religious background but not real focus, in the early 1700s came back to faith in Jesus Christ, turned back to the scriptures, started going back to church, and secular historians call that a great awakening. Now in the early 1800s, we needed a second one, because after we won the Revolutionary War, people got busy building the country. But by the early 1800s, people had begun to slide away from church, away from the Bible, away from Christ, away from training up their own children. What I write about both of these in the book, so that it was such a game-changing, sweeping spiritual awakening. People starting churches, planting churches, coming to Christ, and then building schools and colleges and hospitals. In other words, it wasn't just faith; it was faith in action, and that ended up building the moral strength for the abolitionist movement. So we've seen 2 great awakenings. We need a third, basically.
Well, it's interesting to look at it from, as you mentioned, a secular viewpoint, a spiritual viewpoint as well. It's a fascinating book. It releases this week, so thank you for giving us a preview.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Good to see you. Well, Sarah Palin